Talking a little bit about the mitzvah of tzitzit. One thing a person has to know about tzitzit is that it's not the person who's obligated in tzitzit, it's the beged. It's the beged that he wears, the clothing that he wears. So what does that mean? If he's wearing a four-cornered garment, a garment which has four corners, he has to put tzitzit on that garment if he wants to wear it. If he doesn't have four corners, he doesn't have to put tzitzit on that garment. So, what about all the begadim that we have, right? The suit, the shirt, does it have four corners? The truth is it does not. You know why? Because it's rounded. It's rounded over here on the top. It only has corners down here. These are like the two corners over here. So it doesn't really have four corners. And this is the reason why we don't put tzitzit on the suit. We don't put tzitzit on the shirt.
You have to have four corners all over or what? You have to have four corners top and the bottom?
No, you have to have four all together. Two in the back, two in the front, you know? Usually that's the way it is, right? Four-corner garment. If you have a four-corner garment, you have to put tzitzit on it. But only if you're putting it on you. If you're not putting it on you, you don't have to put tzitzit on it. What does that mean? If you keep it in the closet, right, let's say, you know, your tzitzit is in the closet. You don't have to put tzitzit on it. Only if you're going to wear it. You know, then you have to put tzitzit. But if it's in the closet, it's not obligated to have tzitzit on it, you know? So this is the way it is. So a person has to be only careful about four-corner garment. So if that's the case, the truth is that all of our garments, as we said, don't have four corners. So we're patur. But we still wear inside tzitzit katan. Right? Minhag. You know? So why do we do that? What's the reason why? Anybody know? This is for protection, for protection. It gives you it gives you protection. That it protects you spiritually and physically also. From all kinds of harm, all kinds of bad things, bad thoughts, bad ideas. And a lot of people also, had all kinds of stories brought down in Israel about people, who had car accidents, and they fell off the cliff, something like that. And the car was like totally totaled. It was totaled, but they survived because that's tzitzit katan, because nothing happened to them. They came out like unscathed, untouched. So that's an amazing thing, They say tzitzit katan protects you. And this is the reason why we wear it, for protection. So also, a person shouldn't come to, sin. It also protects you from sin, because it protects you from bad thoughts, all kinds of things like this. I remember when we were kids, and we were going to yeshiva, over here in Queens, in Forest Hills, they would, every day, they would check, if we had tzitzit on the beged, smell tzitzit. If they wouldn't have tzitzit, they would send us home, They would call my mother, say, okay, he's coming home today. No tzitzit. You sent him without tzitzit. That's how important it was, in the school to have tzitzit. They took it very seriously. They wouldn't even allow you to be in the school without tzitzit. The truth is that, you don't have to be so machmir about this, like that, to send a child home. But you should tell them next time, try to put tzitzit if you can, whatever, try to, you have to send them home. It's a little bit exaggerated, but anyway, yeah.
Are you allowed to sleep with katan?
This is a good short question, right? Talit katan, should you sleep with it or not? So the truth is, it really depends on who you are and what you are, right? If you're a single person, bachur, or you're divorced or whatever, widower, right? So then you can put tzitzit, very good for protection at night. It's very good, you should put. But if a person is married, sleeping with his wife, it's not really so much derech eretz to put tzitzit, unless they're sleeping in separate beds, maybe that's something else, you know what I mean? So doesn't it right? So that's the thing, so it's good to put at night also for protection. This is a very good thing, so a person should try to do that if he can, depending on the situation, as we said, right? If you're with your wife, better not to, because otherwise you can't have normal, relations with your wife like that,
When you sleep, there's so much tumah. How can you wait after you sleep?
I'm sorry. What's the question?
When you sleep, when you sleep with the little katan, and when you sleep, it's too much tumah. All the bed.
Yeah.
How can it be pure?
So that's the thing, that's the whole thing, because your body is becoming tameh at night.
Exactly.
The tzitzit protects you. This is a very good thing, that's the whole point, right? That's the whole thing. That's the whole idea, right? So that's actually a good thing, that it protects you at night. When a person, what happens is, it says in Zohar Kadosh, when a person goes to sleep at night, right, the ruach ra comes on his body, all his body is full of ruach ra, evil spirit.
Yes. So
what happens is that when he wakes up, then it goes into his hands, so he has to wash his hands. But the neshama, when it comes back to his body, it takes out the ruach ra from his body, takes out everything except in the hands, in the fingers, so he has to wash his hands in the morning. But the body, once the neshama comes back, is cleansed from the ruach ra. That's the neshama takes it away. It takes away the ruach ra. This is the way it works, There's also, by the way, another ruach ra. There's two ruach ra. See, one is called bat chorin, and one is called bat melech. There's two of them in the Zohar Kadosh. What's the difference between this and that? One ruach ra comes on a person when he sleeps. That's right. That's called bat chorin, right? The bat chorin. That's the one that comes on him when he sleeps. So when he wakes up, as we said, right, it goes to his hands. And then there's another one which comes on him when the morning comes, right? Amud HaShachar. You know, what time is Amud HaShachar? Netzach Haman now is about 5 minutes to 7, right? Something like that. So that means 72 minutes before that is Amud HaShachar. You know, so from that time onwards, this is what happens. You know, that there's a Ruach Ra that comes on it. And that one is called Bat Melech. This is Ruach Ra. It's a different name. You know, they're twin brothers. You know, whatever it is, right? There are two people like this, Bat Melech, Bat Chorin. So the only way to get that off, that Ruach Ra, is to wash your hands. That's the only way it happens, you know? That's why we said before, that if a person, we mentioned last week, I think, that if a person gets up early at night to learn Torah or whatever, you know, to do something at night, so he should wash his hands, send it to and then when the Amud HaShachar comes, he should wash his hands again, because there's two Ruach Ra. One comes on him at Amud HaShachar. So he has to wash his hands again because to get that one off. So this is the way it is, you know, with the Ruach Ra. But getting back to Tzitzit, as we said, right? So the question is, what about the bracha? Do you make a bracha on Tzitzit Katan? Right? And which bracha do you make? Right? That's also a question. So the truth is, you know, that in the Shulchan Aruch, Maran says you make leitatef b'tzitzit, even on Talit Katan. But the Achronim say al mitzvah tzitzit. And this is the minhag, by the way. The person who makes bracha on Talit Katan, we say al mitzvah tzitzit. And the other one, the Gadol, we say leitatef b'tzitzit. This is the difference. But the truth is, you know, that most people today, the minhag is they don't make bracha on Talit Katan, al mitzvah tzitzit. What's the reason why? Because what they do is they rely on the Talit Gadol. When they put the Talit Gadol, they have in mind also Talit Katan. So with one bracha, they poter both of them. This is what they do. Why they do it this way? What's the reason why? The reason is because, you know, sometimes we're afraid that a person, his Talit Katan is not big enough, you know, doesn't have the size, proper size, doesn't have a shi'ur. So if it's too small and you make a bracha, it's bracha al-batala. It's a blessing in vain, you know? And this is the reason why we don't make a bracha on Talit Katan, and we wait till we put Talit Gadol. And then, for Talit Gadol, we include also Talit Katan together. With one bracha, everything. That's the way it's done. But, you know, there is also a different situation. Sometimes what happens is that, let's say you go in the shower, right? Take a bath or something, right? And you already prayed in the morning, you know, you're not going to put Talit Gadol anymore. Right? You already finished with Talit Gadol. You're not going to put it again. So now you put Talit Katan after you come out of the shower, right? What do? We have to make a bracha or not? So the truth is, you know, that some people don't even make a bracha. In this case, a lot of people don't make a bracha. It's a minhag like this, you know. And the reason is because, again, right, because it may be too small. So therefore, you know, they put it on even when they come out of the shower and Talit Gadol they already put in the morning. They still they put the Tzitzit Katan without a bracha because it may be too small. Maybe the shiur is not big enough. But if you are sure, right, and you bought it, you know, in the store, and you asked the merchant over there, you asked them in the store, is it big enough? Does it have shiur? It's big, you know, large. It covers your body, you know, covers the most of your body. So if it's big enough, you know for sure, you can make a bracha al mitzvah tzitzit. You can make, you know. But the minhag now is not to, because maybe it's going to be too small. Maybe a lot of people don't know what the size is, you know, the proper size. Some people, you know what they do, right? They take tzitzit katan of their children, you know, and they put it on themselves. You know, but that's too small. It's like half the body is open, you know? So that's too small. You can't make a bracha on that. You know what I mean? You're taking your son's talit katan, and you're making a bracha on that? For you? You know what I mean? It's too small for you, this one. You know, you can't make a bracha on that. You understand? It doesn't have a shiur. So this is the reason why the minhag is not to make a bracha on talit katan at all. That's what Maran says, Rabbi. He writes that now the custom is not to make a bracha on talit katan. This is the way it's done nowadays. Regarding Talit Gadol, right? I want to tell you something interesting. You know, a lot of people don't know this. When you come to the synagogue, right? You see, some people have black stripes on the Talit. Some people have blue stripes. Some people have white stripes. You know. So what's the proper one, right? What's the proper one? Does it really matter? It doesn't matter. It does matter. So the truth is, you know, that according to the Sephardi custom, the Sephardim, the custom of the Bible is to put white Talit Gadol, only white, nothing else. No black, no blue. This is the custom of the Sephardim. You know why? Because it says in the Zohar Kadosh like this, you know, that the talit should be all white, it should be white. like the Malchei Sharet, like we're like the angels, So therefore, you want to look like the angels when you pray to Hashem. So you wear all white talit gadol. This is the way it's done, But the Ashkenazim, the custom by them is to put black stripes on talit gadol. What's the reason why they do that? This reminds you of the galut, the churban abayit. This is the reason why the churban. It's like sadness. It's avelut. You put black stripes, to remind you of the churban. So, that's what they do, this is what we do, I can tell you that all the Gedolim I saw, the Sephardi Gedolim I saw in Yerushalayim, including Maran, Rav Danielov Shalom, and all the other Gedolim, Chacham Ben Zion Abba Shaul, and all the other Gedolim, Rav Reuven and Elbaz over there, and all these rabbis, all the Chachamim over there, they all wear only white talit, the Sephardim over there, this is the way it is. So next time, you don't have to be so crazy about this, but next time you buy talit, next time you go to the store to buy talit, this time get a white one. No more black stripes, no more blue stripes, right? That's the proper thing to do. You don't have to go. I'm not telling you have to go tomorrow. It's not so important. Not the end of the world. But when you buy the next one, try to get the proper one for your minhag. That's the proper thing to do. Okay, very good. So I want to tell you something also about the mitzvah of Kiddush. That when a person makes Kiddush, what kind of wine should he use, right? This is the question, So Baruch Hashem, I see the rabbi is using. This is good stuff, you see, because it's red wine. Yeah. So this may be like grape juice, but the truth is you're supposed to use red wine. And what's the reason why you're supposed to use red and not white? Some people like to drink white wine, They think it's good, Chardonnay, whatever, all kinds of good things. But the Chazal say, that the red wine is superior to the white wine in quality. It's a better quality wine, In general, that's the way it is. Sometimes it's not true. Sometimes there's a white wine which is very high quality, but in general, the red wine is more quality than the white. So therefore, a person should try to use red wine. By the way, according to the Ramban, he says that white wine is pasul for Kiddush, We don't paskin like that, So if a person, b'diavad, uses the white wine, yatzai dechovai, full obligation. But there is an opinion that says it's pasul for Kiddush. So you have to be careful. Better not to buy white wine for this purpose. If you want to drink it just for fun, to enjoy it, that's fine. Do what you want. But for Kiddush, try to use red wine. That's number one, right? Number two, as the rabbi said, right? What about mevushal? Not mevushal, all these things, right? So the truth is that, according to Rambam, you shouldn't use mevushal wine for Kiddush. Okay? And the reason, why it is? Because the Rambam says that it's a pasul le nisucha yain. It's not allowed to bring nisucha yain on the mizbeach when there's korbanot, when there's a Beit HaMikdash. You cannot bring mevushal wine over there and pour it out and do libation. And what's the reason? Why? Because it's considered to be already inferior. It loses the taste, it loses the quality when you cook it, when you cook the wine. This is the reason why the Rambam says not to use mevushal. But the truth is, the halacha is not like that. The halacha is you're allowed to use mevushal. According to Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to use mevushal for Kiddush and also for Arba Kosot in Pesach. Same thing, you're allowed to use mevushal. And the reason is because the other Rishonim argue with the Rambam and they say it's okay. Why? Because okay, Nisuch Hayayin, on the Mizbeach, that's one thing. But if we're talking about here making Kiddush at home, there's not really one is depending on the other. That's not the way it is. So this is the reason why it's allowed to use, and a lot of people do it. Why do a lot of people use mevushal? What's the reason why? Because, if there's a goy who touched it, the wine, or he poured it out from it could be that it's already pasul, he made it into yain nesach. So if it's mevushal, it doesn't become yain nesach, you understand? This is the reason why sometimes most people prefer not to use not mevushal wine, because if a goy pours it out, or touches the wine, or whatever, does something like that, he makes it yain nesach. So this is the reason why we try to avoid it. So therefore, if a person, is afraid of this, and by the way, also, I hate to tell you, but I won't insult anybody, but, in this halacha, the Jew who's mechalel Shabbat, he's considered to be like a goy. You understand? So therefore, if a mechalel Shabbat, somebody he breaks Shabbat in public, and he touches the wine, it's like he did made yain nesach also, according to halacha. This is the way it is, So a person has to be careful also, if he's having guests coming into his house, or into the shul, and they're not religious people. They drive on Shabbat car, They go to 47th Street to make some money over there on Shabbat. You're not allowed to let them touch the wine because you'll make it yain nesach. So a person has to be careful, The They say the Chazal in general, right? There's a general rule like this: that a mechalel Shabbat mefarhesia, somebody, a Jew, breaks Shabbat in public, is considered to be like a goy, so regarding many of the halachot. And this is one of them, So this is a person has to be careful. So therefore, if you have a situation like that, you have relatives, right, who are not religious, coming to your house and all kinds of things like this. Better to use mevushal. Don't be machmir like the Rambam. Take mevushal. This way you solve the problem, right? So Baruch Hashem, right? We have mevushal over here. That's what they should have in a place like this. You never know who's going to touch it. You never know what's going to be. So it's better to have mevushal. This is the idea. Okay, very good. So I guess we'll stop there. Rabbi Hananiah Shomer, Tzakadosh Baruch Hu L'Zukot Yisrael. לפיכך הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר לנו חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל תורה בידי.